pace car pulls in 200 laps of the fastest short track racing in the entire world. We're green. Ryan Reid takes the start at Bristol, tries to lead into the first corner ahead of teammate Scott Roush, clears on the exit of the corner, and it's a Roush Racing Enterprises 1-2 on the exit of the turn as Bobby Frazier did not get going, and immediately right behind Allison Figueroa ripping the top, trying to go to the outside of the 96 of Bobby Frazier. 3 wide in the back, Hu Ji-yeon in the middle, Patrick Smith, Cale Teskar Jr., almost contact on the exit of turn number 2. It's very close quarters racing on the initial start through the midfield. Jeff McLennan trying to squeeze through the middle on Arnie Nugroho. Can't find a way through there either. Everybody inches apart as we complete the first couple laps successfully clean. But man, oh man, they're banging doors back here with Hu Ji-yeon and Teskar. Exit of turn 4, we've got a second row of 3 wide now. Jeff McLennan in the middle between Arnie Nugroho and Roberto Crown Jr., and he might pull it off. They squeeze each other on the exit of turn number 2. Everybody gets away without an accident, but somehow, some way, we're still 3 wide on the exit of turn number 4. Chris Louviere in the 83 does not want to be there, as William Duncan is now in the middle. Exit of turn 2 once more. Everybody finally sorts it out, it looks like, for the time being. And out front, Ryan Reid continues to lead here at Bristol. But now DJ Curtis makes it 3 wide at the back of the field. With some big moves down the inside of Aiden Shepard. Contact is made between the two of them. It's grippier on the entry on the bottom, but it is way more momentum if you can carry the top on the exit. Scott Roush starting to fall off the back of teammate Ryan Reid already as Curtis gets into Shepard big time into turn 3. They get away without an accident, but my goodness, was that close. And as we finally settled into the first 10 laps of this race, Ryan Reid the leader, ahead of Scott Roush, Kyle Bisceglia, Bobby Frazier, and Allison Figueroa. Then it's Jeffrey Finguy, Mitchell Mark, Logan Hill, Yuki Tamura, and Shrimp Engritz, the top 10. Stavros fallen back out of the top 10 in the 11th position, and Alex Constantine has just approached the top 10 for the first time today in 12th. Roush right up to the back of this 90. That gap has evaporated already, and Scott Roush is now aiming for the lead on his teammate, but it looks to be almost fluctuating speed-wise between the two of them, as we see Jeff McLennan attacking Fabio Vitabasa here for the 14th position. It'll be interesting to see the ebbing and flowing of the inside and outside lanes tonight, how they evolve throughout the entire 200 laps. Big couple of laps from Ryan Reid. Gaps to nearly actually over half a second out front now. That was a big moment for him to just put down that qualifying lap just now and set the pace of his own accord, and he's actually still pulling away from Scott Roush at the moment being. Right now, as the tires are still kind of new, it's not going to be very noticeable, the differences between the cars out here. Setup wise, what lines they're comfortable on, it's all going to be pretty same. But the moment these tires start to wear out, you'll really start to see the differences between these guys out here. As once again, the gap increases to nearly 0.6 of a second. And you can just see how fast the laps turn around here. I mean, seriously. We're already almost to the 20 lap mark. Further proving this track's status as the fastest half mile on the earth. Look at the speed on that 90 car from Ryan Reid. In another zip code right now compared to the rest of the leaders. Everybody hugging the bottom right now. Almost a second between the leaders now. What's going to be interesting is when we get later on into this race and we encounter lap traffic, with everybody wanting to hug the bottom. How that's going to work out. Speaking of not being able to hug the bottom, Sean Angel gets shuffled to the top by Ryan Bolden, but manages to keep ahead for the time right now currently. Nine and a half tenths still as we've just completed the 20th lap of this race. We're a tenth of the way through already here at Bristol. And if this thing were to stay green the whole way through, it would absolutely fly by in an instant. Do I expect that to happen? No, I don't. Brandon Crasta starting to fall off the back of the field. He's likely going to be the first that these drivers have to encounter, as Scott Roush just turned his fastest lap of the race and gained 2 tenths on Ryan Reid. So we'll have to see how that evolves as well. Sean Angel trying to clear Elijah Innes on the exit of turn 4 and does so. Big move there to get up into the 28th position. So you can see passing is possible if you just manage to execute properly and dig deep. Meanwhile, half a second now. Roush has shrunk the gap down. We'll have to see here how this unfolds. As we see battling back there between Mitchell Mark, Logan Hill, Yuki Tamura, and Shrimp Angrit's 4-way fight for 7th place. Top lane versus bottom lane. Mark trying to complete the pass on Hill and does so. Or does he? Wow! What commitment from Logan Hill there. Just hammer it down the inside into turn 3 and hope that it sticks, and it did. And he almost clears Mark on the exit of the corner there, as now Stavanov sneaks to the outside of the 64 of Alex Constantine. Tristan Wilhoit gets involved in on now. Now Mark nearly clearing on the outside. This time I think he's finally going to do it. Hill can't send it from that far back. Mitchell Mark into 7th place. Tamura still trying to fight Angritz around the outside. Stavanov looks to have not been able to get Constantine and is now under pressure from Tristan Wilhoit. Into 3 and 4 we go. Tamura looked like she had the upper hand on the Angritz machine there on the top, but now the 59's fighting back. And he almost clears and does. Oh, but he gets hit on the exit from the momentum shift from the 60 there. Not a crash, but nearly one here at Bristol. And Angritz can almost take that as a learning experience of how late you can block the cars on the outside. He finally clears the 60 car to move up. 1.3 seconds now between Ryan Reid and Scott Roush. The 90 car is kicked on the afterburners, and even as the tires wear, has found some speed to pull away. And Tamura struggling on that outside lane. Now has lost out to Constantine and possibly teammate Jake Stavanov, as Ryan Reid encounters the first bit of lap traffic of the night, the 63 of Brandon Crasta. Lap traffic's going to be a bit of a nuisance tonight, compared to most tracks. Everybody wants to be on the same line. No one wants to get off that bottom lane. Even the lappers. And the lappers know that they have this opportunity to actually fight back. So you're going to witness that gap shrink from the first top 2 positions here. The longer that Reid takes to get past Krasta. Constantine almost peeking on Angritz there, but thinks better of it. Almost put himself vulnerable to Tamura there by making that move. Very, very difficult choice to make. As Krasta continues to be a nuisance for the 90 car. Roush and Bisceglia approach quickly. Now this will be where it gets interesting. How aggressive do you be if you're Scott Roush or Kyle Bisceglia? How hard do you try to go for this? And do you bide your time? Possibly. Wait for the right moment to strike, or do you just go full offense, full attack? I think Scott Roush is chosen already. He nearly peeked down the inside into turn 1 there on the 90. Teammate or not, regardless, he is going for it. Felt like he's been robbed twice this season on 2 different short tracks. Roush to the bottom for the lead. And Reid can't do anything there to try and fight it, at least that time. But now through 3 and 4, he's got a bit of a momentum run here as Bobby Frazier tries to follow him on the outside lane. But the tires, they're just aging too hard. Scott Roush to the lead. Still with the 63 of Krasta to deal with, though. Bisceglia on the bottom of the 90 now for second place. The bottom lane is starting to rubber in quite well. And it is making it very hard to get around the outside of anybody. Krasta trying to stay on the lead lap, desperately hoping for a caution. Knows that it's his only chance to do anything tonight. To get some adjustments to make that car any better than it is right now. And there's Roush down the inside of the 63 through 1 and 2. Finally uproots the Brandon Krasta machine. Very aggressive, lapping him. And no matter how many times he's going to try and swing it around the outside, that 6 car is just so good through the middle of the corner that eventually he's going to find a way to clear that 63 car. And there it is. Scott Roush officially leads at Bristol. Kyle Bisceglia now clears in the second position. And the more laps that Ryan Reid is forced to run behind this 63 on the top lane, the worse his position is going to get. Oh, Reid goes for broke on Krasta, but can't do anything. Fingeist to his inside. Nearly went 3 wide to try and get away from him. Three wide behind, speaking of which. Mitchell Mark, Logan Hill, Shrimp Angritz, nearly making contact down the front straightaway. And Mark's going to be the big loser in all of that. Oh man, just as Reid started to fall down the order for Mark to try and gain some points on him, he also finds a way to get shuffled up to the top as Reid nearly shut the door on Allison Figueroa into turn 1 there, but the 98 kept her nose in. Oh, he might be able to clear this time into 3. Oh, man, Figueroa did not lift until she absolutely had to. But she dampers her momentum by doing that. And Ryan Reid successfully hangs on to a 5th position at least. Krasta like a cork in a bottle right now. Just bottlenecking the whole field behind. Buschelia still just riding along with Roush here, not making any drastic maneuvers at the moment. Yuki Tamura getting aggressive with Logan Hill, trying to make her way back up the order. She's trying to take 9th from the 11 here. Teammate Stavina following. There's Constantine down the inside of Engritz in the 59. Now it'll be interesting to see here. How quickly do Roush and Buschelia start dispatching the next batch of lappers? Because we're seeing so much trouble with Krasta right now. And he's the slowest one of the bunch. So it'll be really interesting to see if these guys start struggling with the cars ahead or if it's just a Krasta thing. We'll have to find out once Roush and Buschelia get there. Well, speaking of get there, they're here. Here we go. Buschelia peeks to the outside on Roush. Doesn't quite stick his nose in fully. Roush got very aggressive with Krasta earlier. Will he carry that same amount of aggression into dealing with this group of lappers? DJ Curtis is the first one he's going to have to really contend with here. Ryan Reid gets shuffled back up to the top above Allison Figueroa. Oh, what an aggressive send from the 98. I cannot believe they didn't make contact. Oh, Krasta shuffles himself up off the bottom, got loose. Finn guy gets down to the bottom. And once again, the 90 of Ryan Reid is going to get shuffled in behind the 63. Yeah, but this time there's a lot larger group of cars to pounce on him. Oh, this could be a huge moment for the 90. Roush and Buschelia still stuck in traffic behind Curtis. Buschelia peeks underneath the 6 for the lead. Now this will be interesting here. Buschelia trying to lead this lap, get that bonus point. But also, maybe he's thinking to himself, I can be the one. I'm going to clear the traffic better than you can. Oh, Reid goes through the middle 3 on Krasta and Wilhoit. Krasta's up in the wall. Exit at turn 2. And he's still 3 wide on the exit of 4 as McLennan goes aggressive on Logan Hill. Wow, that was incredibly sketchy. Buschelia has still yet to lead a lap. Barely, though. Roush is fighting it with everything he's got to keep that lead. And meanwhile, Bobby Frazier's now joined the fray. Buschelia finally leads a lap in the 27. But Roush has not gotten off of his right rear. Now he finally has. Buschelia clears for the lead on lap number 80. Now the question being, who's going to be the first one of these leaders to be able to shuffle up this traffic? Find a way through on one of these cars. Buschelia getting really close with the left rear of DJ Curtis there. There he is, inside on Curtis. Buschelia now starting to clear the traffic. Gets through on the 54. He peeks to the outside on the 69 of Carter here. See if that'll work out. Not quite. I think he realizes he's got to shuffle these guys up to the top himself. Gets back in line, stays ahead of Roush though, so he keeps the lead for the time being here at Bristol. We're only about 25 laps away from the green flag pit cycle, which is really going to shake things up, I feel, around here. And it's also just so chaotic trying to get to the pit entrance in the first place under green at a track like this. Meanwhile, the traffic in front of the leaders continue to fight for their own position battles. This could turn into a cat and mouse game of who decides to pit first. Undercutting could put yourself higher up the order, but stuck in more traffic. And with worse tires. But you'd have more track position, and that really seems like it's king tonight. Honestly. Constantine to the bottom on Figueroa for 5th place. The 64 car has come alive in race trim. Ryan Reid has stabilized in the top 10. He's 10th place in that 90. Nearly went up into the wall there while I was trying to say he was stabilizing. Buschelia to the bottom on Carter now, through 3 and 4. Another lapped car. Shuffled up off the bottom by race leader Kyle Buschelia. As Constantine and Figueroa continue to fight, I think the 98's going to clear here. Or almost clear. Oh, they hit! That was actual contact between Constantine and Figueroa into turn 1. Constantine does not want to let this attempt go. Wow. Nearly a crash between the two of them. And even then, even with all that extra effort, oh man, he keeps his nose in just barely still. That is not giving up right there. That is the definition of not giving up right there. Now he slightly noses ahead of Figueroa. That'll be interesting to follow that, as Bisceglia has cleared Mitchell Carter, but Scott Roush has not. And Bobby Frazier is still trying to clear DJ Curtis. First time that Constantine's been ahead of Figueroa at start-finish. Could be a tipping point for that battle. This time around is going to be the halfway point of this race. Kyle Bisceglia, the leader, trying to lap Sebastian Van Dalen. And the differing strategies is really where it's going to make or break somebody's race tonight, I have a feeling. Aiden Shepard way up the racetrack opens the door for Bisceglia to get underneath and go through on another lapper before Roush can even get through on Carter. Though right as I say that, Roush gets underneath the 69 of Carter and Aiden Shepard. They touch off at turn number 2 almost. And Roush, very, very importantly, finds a way to follow Bisceglia through as Bisceglia now gets underneath Van Dalen. And now the lap traffic is falling like flies right now to our leaders. Pit stops any time now here at Bristol. Van Dalen shuffles the race leader Bisceglia back up to the top. Really bold stuff there from the rookie, who almost puts the I think he did put the bumper to the race leader. Aggressive moves to try and stay on the lead lap and hope for a caution. Wow, I was not expecting Van Dalen to do something like that, or let alone anybody in this field, really. That was an incredibly aggressive move. And one that's definitely going to make the Van Dalen Autosport team members not too happy. Roush, as a result, has the inside lane on Bisceglia now to try and get the lead back. And now getting underneath James Gibson and pinning the 27 behind him. Crash in turns 3 and 4, right in front of the leaders. Roush is in it. Aiden Shepard's in it. Upside down goes Sebastian Van Dalen. Ryan Reid in the 90 is caught up behind this as he gets going just ahead of the pace car and nearly gets swung into the pit wall by Brandon Crasta. And we're under caution here at Bristol for a multi-car accident into turns 3 and 4 down the back straightaway. We got cars all over the place.
It was like it was so composed for so long, and then everything just went to hell in a handbasket.
And Scott Roush, for the third time this season, for the third time this season, Scott Roush has been involved in a crash with a lapped car on a short track from the lead. You can't write the script on this one. 10 short track races, and it's happened 3 times now. Let's go back while they're in the middle of pit stops. Let's go back and see what happened to bring out the caution for the first time tonight here at Bristol. And so you see them coming down the back straightaway into turn 3. Daniel Giroux misjudges it on the right rear of Elijah Innes, sends him up into the wall. Alex Bignacco gets a piece of it. Sebastian Van Dalen, Aiden Shepard, Jeffrey Finguy, Scott Roush, of course, and Van Dalen just gets scooped up by the 42 of Aiden Shepard and put on his roof on the banking transition. And then as you saw, Jeffrey Finguy and Shrimp Engritz were forced to enter a closed pit to avoid the accident and just chose to take their pit stops now, but have now ended up 1 lap down here at Bristol as a result. And that's just how it can go with the luck factor here on a short track as tight quarters as this. And I just cannot believe that Scott Roush, in 3 separate short tracks out of the 10 short tracks this season, has been crashed by a lapper from the race lead. This is the only one that I can feel he can come back from, because it relatively was basically minimum damage to that 6 car. And a very close call with Engritz coming out of the pits there with both Roush and Constantine, but they all sorted it out. But now as we get to live shots here at Bristol in the pits, Pachelia the leader. Everybody going to take 4 tires and fuel. This will get them to the end of the race. The only lap down cars being Finguy, Engritz, Shepard, and more. And this Pachelia, he will get out of the pits in the lead still. A slightly slower stop from the 6 of Roush, but that's probably due to damage repairs more than anything. Everybody finding their way back out of the pit lane here. Pachelia the leader, ahead of Figueroa, Stavinaugh, Bobby Fraser, and Logan Hill, the top 5. Just over halfway here at Bristol. Pit stops complete. Let's get back to the restart. Pace car pulls back in. Restart, lap number 115. Kyle Pachelia takes the restart, and we're back underway at Bristol. As you saw some of our drivers that waved around the leaders just before the restart there, they're going to be playing a game of run away from Kyle Pachelia here. Allison Figueroa up into 2nd. Jake Stavinaugh in 3rd. Roush Racing Enterprises still absolutely making up a majority of the top 10 out of all of their campus cars. Krasta up the racetrack into the side of Logan Hill. Somehow doesn't get hooked by the 64 of Alex Constantine. 3 wide on the exit at turn number 4 now, as Jeff McLennan tries to get involved up in the top 10 for the first time tonight. And that's Tristan Wilhoit as well. But Krasta forcing himself to be an absolute roadblock, just like he was on the first green flag run. Everybody shuffling him every single which way. Just getting beat around like a ping pong ball. Oh, contact again there on the exit at turn number 2. Test car and McLennan, but I don't think any damage came from either car, but it was a close call between Mitchell Mark and Test car while the 26 was trying to save it. Ryan Reid in the 90, after having to come to a complete stop to avoid that accident in turns 3 and 4. Same with teammate Yuki Tamura. They're both trying to make their way back up the order now in 13th and 14th place respectively. Now 12th and 14th as Reid makes a big move around the outside. And speaking of big moves, contact, big hit to the side. Door-to-door hit between Teskar and Mitchell Mark. And you saw that was an absolutely massive slam. I could almost see a tire rub coming from that contact, but the question would be which car would get it, if not both of them. I was just saying, big move from Jeff McLennan to get underneath the 63 when he did and be able to separate himself from the cars behind. Ryan Reid still trying to make forward progress, but he actually has fallen back behind the O2 as he hooks the O2 of Fabio Vitabassa. Championship leader Ryan Reid crashes the Alfa Romeo, and Jeffrey Finguy gets a piece of it and checking up. Caution is back out at Bristol.
Remarkably few cars got involved in that.
Unbelievably, it only ended up being about a 3-car accident here at Bristol, which is something to be said about a track this tight quartered.
Yeah, The wreck avoidance was impressive because I expected a pileup coming on right there, and it just didn't happen. They missed him.
But Ryan Reid, possibly feeling a bit desperate to get back up on the track position aspect of this race, making a big move around the outside at the last second while Vita Bassa was already shutting the door. And you saw it there first. The 0-2 gets hooked in the right rear down the back straightaway. Let's go back and see what happened to bring out the second caution of the night in some more detail. We saw it live. The 90 of Ryan Reid was getting desperate. He went back to the outside of the 0-2 of Vita Bassa as close as he could to the outside wall, but Vita Bassa did not know he was going to try it, pinned him up into the outside wall, and spun himself off the nose of the 90. And you saw Jeffrey Finguy spinning into the picture there at the end of the crash. That was because he got plowed by Shrimp Engritz while slowing down for the accident. And so a driver with an outside shot at this championship with a big mistake that's going to give him basically race-ending damage on that 59. Championship leader Ryan Reid puts himself in a bind at the back of the field. Let's get back to the restart. Just before we get back to the restart, Hu Jian has suffered a race-ending engine failure and will pull into the pits to retire with less than 75 laps to go. And if there was any outside chance she had left at possibly contending for a second WTSS title, it's now over. Pace car is going to pull back in. Kyle Bisceglia, the leader, ahead of Allison Figueroa, Jake Stavinoff, Bobby Fraser, and Logan Hill. We're back underway here at Bristol, and the question is now, how long can they make it work? Will we go to the finish under green, or will we see yet another caution in the famous cautions breed cautions standpoint on these short tracks? Oh my lord! Jeff McLennan, there was not a car's width to the outside of Elijah Innes there, but he made it work, squeezing between the one car and the wall to make sure he didn't lose touch with teammate Tristan Wilhoit. Very aggressive move from the rookie, but we've seen that from him all season. His impatience level is unmatched throughout this field, and it has come to bite him a couple times this season, but man, oh man, does it look good when he actually pulls it off. Woo! Look at Ryan Reid. You can tell the desperation is setting in even more so now. Bottom three on Daniel Giroux and Chris Dodd. He gets through. Ryan Bolden gets into the two of Giroux. Slams into him again into turn 3. Amazingly, we exit that corner without a crash, but now Finguy goes to the inside of Giroux. Dodd nearly squeezes into the right rear of Daniel Giroux. They make contact into turn 3. They crash into turn 3. And up on the wall goes Chris Dodd, sliding down the banking on his side and over. Up and over multiple times down the banking. Dodd involved. Ray Takeda, Daniel Giroux. Big crash at Bristol to bring out another caution as Kyle Bisceglia comes back to the yellow, still out in front of Allison Figueroa. But a massive accident here on yet another restart, and it's going to force another caution. Huge crash. And the two affiliate cars of Jeffrey Finguy and Chris Dodd find themselves wrecked here late in the going at Bristol. Kyle Bisceglia still the leader in the 27. As we have a pileup under caution, Ryan Bolden by himself has just piled into Jake Stavinoff. I think he was trying to drive back around the leaders. He was rightfully on the lead lap, but I think miscommunication between the two of them. And that's huge damage to Eugene DeMax as well, who was just an innocent bystander in all that. Now we've got multiple things we need to go back and look at, but Kyle Bisceglia, most importantly, is the leader, but third place Jake Stavinoff has huge rear end damage. Allison Figueroa second, Stavinoff third for the time being, Bobby Fraser and Logan Hill the top 5. Let's go back and look at multiple replays to figure out and digest what has all happened here at Bristol Motor Speedway. They come through turns 1 and 2, 3 wide, and they squeeze each other on the exit, and you can just see big contact between Finguy and Chris Dodd there. It squeezes the 8 up on top of the safety barrier and over. And big contact between Daniel Giroux and Ray Takeda that takes both of their cars out of the race as well. And then while we're under caution, the rest of the field is trying to sort the order out, and as a result, the leaders end up filing past a few cars that are still trying to sort their order out. Now what happens here I almost wonder if Eugene DeMax also has to do something with the plow that just happened on Jake Stavanaugh. Everybody's now starting to funnel their way back past the leaders to get back on the lead lap, and rightfully so, get back on the lead lap. Ryan Reid cuts to the bottom. Ryan Bolden does not. Oh, it's just a miscommunication. I think they felt like the lead lappers were going to stay on the inside like they were in the middle of the corner. And Bolden and DeMax just absolutely plowed into the back of the poor 80 car of Jake Stavanaugh. Nobody else ends up getting involved in any sort of contact with the leaders. So that is just complete and utter just disaster for DeMax and Bolden, two of the most experienced drivers in the field. And it's going to take at least DeMax out of the race, probably Bolden, and maybe even Stavanaugh, depending on how much, if there's any fuel cell damage on the back of that car. And so now, with Bisceglia leading here at Bristol, we're going to set up for yet another restart, and the question being is, can they keep themselves composed once again? Kyle Bisceglia, the leader here at Bristol. Let's get back to yet another restart. Pace car is going to pull back in. Roush Racing Enterprises have decided to keep Stavanaugh out there on that damage and just see how he fares with how hard it is to make passes around here tonight and how important track position is. Kyle Bisceglia takes the restart. We're back underway here at Bristol. And already, contact between Alison Figueroa when I wasn't even looking. What happened between her and DJ Curtis? And Yuki Tamura gets a huge piece of it. Big crash. Chris Dodd, Arnie Nugroho, Fabio Vitabassa, Shrimp Angritz. Unbelievable. I don't even know what happened there. They just made contact down the back straightaway, and drivers at the front of the field are wiped out before our very eyes before I even can tell what happened. Bisceglia takes the caution once again, and I need a moment to figure out what in the world just happened. Bisceglia continues to lead at Bristol. Let's go figure out what just happened there, because I really have no idea what to think about that. So we're on the restart here. Figueroa gets the run off the corner and just down the back straightaway. Curtis just doesn't realize she's on his right rear and just clears up. And nowhere to go for Yuki Tamura. That is just so unfortunate. And then a huge plow that was ultimately caused by Mark Nutt, who was going to bring the caution out regardless of the fact. We were going to get a yellow one lap into that restart, whether or not a crash happened. An engine failure for the 57 while getting up through the gears. But it just makes it so much worse for those involved, knowing that if they just kept it composed for half a lap more, a caution would have come out, and none of that would have happened. Tough breaks for all of those involved, and big, big points implications for Yuki Tamura. And championship leader Ryan Reid, who did get a piece of that and has right side damage on his number 90 car. Kyle Bisceglia continues to lead at Bristol. Let's get back to yet another restart with a now shuffled up running order. Restart order is Bisceglia ahead of Bobby Frazier, Logan Hill, Tristan Wilhoit, and Alex Constantine. Now Wilhoit's got some slight front end damage from avoiding that accident, so we'll see if that affects him or if it's just minor enough that it's a short track and he can just deal with it. Jake Stavanaugh fell back to 8th, having a piece of that as well. But as we come to the restart, with 56 laps to go, Bisceglia leads out once again down the front straightaway into turn 1. And he clears the lap traffic on the outside. Look at Wilhoit trying to squeeze through the middle of Logan Hill and Brandon Crasta there, trying to get up into the podium places. Constantine really tried to make it work for 4th on Wilhoit there on the bottom, but that 63 is just a cork in a bottle when you get stuck behind him. It just doesn't work. And in a race that was so clean for the first 105 laps, it's been absolute carnage ever since the first caution. Oh, championship leader Reid still just... He's so restless back here. He knows that he's got a fast car. He just can't find a way through, and he knows that points are just falling every single time he can't pass somebody. Look at Scott Roush trying to make a recovery drive after that contact early on in the first crash. 3 wide. Sean Angel, Chris Louviere, Patrick Smith. Oh, they squeeze each other on the exit of turn number 2. They sort it back out to 2 wide. very close quarters. That's 2 other championship contenders running ahead of title leader Ryan Reid. Could be a big moment for them. Bisceglia is gone right now because there is a lapped car in between himself and second place Bobby Fraser, as we're 3 wide again here at Bristol back here. Louviere making big moves. Innes is up in the wall off of turn number 2. Everybody scrambles. Figueroa gets into Engritz. They all hit the wall. Everybody gets away without a crash. We're still green at Bristol. But that's going to be more damage for the 98 of Figueroa and the 59 of Engritz there for sure. And Fraser continuing to struggle to find a way through as an engine failure for the 11 of Logan Hill.
Wow, that was right in front of somebody.
Right in front of the 17 of Will Hoyt, who really had to check up, but he avoided slamming into the back of the 11 there, and the caution is out as Logan Hill is slammed into the pit wall trying to get down the racetrack, and we're under caution here at Bristol.
Unbelievable.
And a night that has already turned into absolute pandemonium goes even crazier as Logan Hill finds the pit barriers after trying to limp back with an engine failure. Caution is out once again here at Bristol. Kyle Bisceglia the leader. Bisceglia the leader ahead of Fraser, Wilhoit, Constantine, and McLennan. Let's get back to the restart. And just before we get to the restart, Aiden Shepard blows a tire. And he's out. Complete and utter tire failure has taken him out of the race. It must have broken something on the car. Bisceglia.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Is the leader still. Pace car back in. 41 laps to go. Restart again here at Bristol. Now the question is, can Fraser and others clear the traffic quicker this time and not allow Bisceglia to get out to a multi-second lead? Crash on the back straightaway for Elijah Innes into turn 3, and he's up and over with huge contact from James Gibson.
Wow.
And contact coming to the caution for Chanarong Wongsawat as well. And we're back under yellow immediately at Bristol.
They junked it there.
Huge hit for Elijah Innes. I didn't see if Ryan Reid got a piece of that, but it looked like he was in a very close proximity to that accident. And we don't know what happened to Wongsawat, so there's going to be multiple things we got to look back at. But even so, we're back under caution at Bristol. Bisceglia maintains his lead over Fraser, Wilhoit, Constantine, and now Roush has taken 5th from McLennan. Bisceglia leads. Let's go back and see what happened to bring out yet another caution here at Bristol. So they're coming off at turn number 2. Innes gets loose, swings down the racetrack into the right rear of William Duncan, and bam! Huge hit for James Gibson on the 1 car, and a miraculous avoidance again for the championship leader Ryan Reid as they pile up around him. And it looked like the others that got damaged coming to the caution were all up in the wall trying to avoid the accident on the entry to turn 3. No other crashes occurred coming to the yellow. Kyle Bisceglia took the restart. He maintains the lead again here at Bristol, and after another multi-car pile-up, Bristol just keeps breeding these cautions. And now with less than 40 to go, let's get back to another restart. Kyle Bisceglia the leader once again. It's going to be 35 laps to go at start-finish this time. Bisceglia ahead of Fraser. Carter and Crasta on the inside lane. We're back underway at Bristol once again, and a much better restart from Fraser should allow him to get far enough alongside Mitchell Carter to make some sort of something happen to keep up with Bisceglia. He's not going to clear the 69 down into turn 3, but that was a very, very important restart for the 96 to nail. Now the question being if they can stay green like this for long enough. Can he start to make a charge on that 27 for the lead as we see Wilhoit, Constantine, and Roush all dealing with the lap traffic all over the place in the battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. There's McLennan as well. Big battles going on. See, some drivers making that inside work and some drivers making the outside work. Into the wall, off of turn 4, Alex Bignacco. They survive it without a crash, but everybody checks up behind to try and avoid crashing into one another, and it looks like they've sorted it out. The gap 0.8 of a second between Bichelia and Frazier. Then in third is Tristan Wilhoit. Constantine rips it around the outside of the 8 of Chris Dodd to go and try and stay ahead of the 6 of Scott Roush.
Yeah, these guys back here, they've been getting roadblocked by these two, because like Krasta is holding people up, but he was not faster than Dodd.
No, Krasta has been the roadblock of the night. He was the cork in the bottle earlier for the entire field in the initial green flag run at the start.
Or rather, he was not slow. He wasn't like slower. Like the slower car was on the bottom, but Krasta was. But nobody could make any inroads on the outside because Krasta was there.
Every single time that the field has encountered the 63 car, whatever lane he's on, he is just an absolute cork in the bottle. Nobody can get past him. Even though he is the slowest car on the racetrack, he is the hardest driver on track to pass. Constantine puts the bumper to the 63 and just moves him up the racetrack.
Yeah, the last thing we'll make one of to see.
Wilhoit's going to be the one that gets caught up behind it the same way Ryan Reid did earlier.
There is nowhere to go here.
The only lucky thing Wilhoit can count on is that there's a damaged Chris Dodd on that inside lane that he can maybe try and use as a pick to get back down to the inside, but I don't see that possibly coming true. Maybe, I don't know. You'll have to see if he can generate enough momentum around the outside as Constantine successfully clears Krasta. Yes, like I said, there's Wilhoit clearing Dodd around the outside to shuffle back into line in 5th place. William Duncan takes 7th away from Daniel Voiles in the 13. As we now are under 25 laps to go, and even with clean air between Bobby Frazier and Kyle Bichelia, it is clear as day that the short track ace right now has nobody to stop him, especially with Alex Constantine not being close enough to him. You give these two a cage match, I don't know who comes out on top between Bichelia and Alex Constantine. They are both heavy hitters on these short tracks. They're both running very similar lap times. Both quicker than Bobby Frazier by a couple of tenths. Another restart, I could absolutely see Constantine taking 2nd away and maybe giving himself a chance. But right now, as it stands, if it stays green, I don't know if anybody can contend with that 27 car. And like I said, there's that cork in the bottle that I was talking about with Krasta. His car is just slippery enough on the straights that by the time they get to the corners, they don't have any chance. And that's been the story of this whole season. That 63 car has just been kind of a nuisance for most of these competitors on most tracks. They've encountered him as lap traffic on over half the calendar this season. And tonight in Bristol has been a really rough case for the Season 1 champ, who is just hoping and praying that the season can get over quicker than everybody else's. He's now going to be finishing 22nd tonight, which will be somehow a good points night for his season. But somehow he is still going to be losing points to the car ahead of him in Mitchell Carter. Three seconds now between Bichelia and Frazier as Constantine now encounters Mitchell Carter to put him a lap down and go chase after the 96 of Frazier. But look at the train of cars that Krasta has just formed up behind him. There's absolutely nothing that anybody can do. They're all quicker than him by at least half a second. But the oomph and acceleration that 63 gets on the exits of the corners here is just unmatchable. There's very few cars in the field with setups similar to his. The only other comparable one is the Embledon Honshu team with Ryan Bolden, but that car's not even on the racetrack anymore.
And you just know the number 6 car is just cursing out the 63 every lap he has to stay behind him.
Every driver would. Oh, big moves going on back here. two Mavericks ganging up on Mitchell Mark here in the 28.
Mark was catching up to McLennan. Like, it kind of looked like McLennan's having another moment of kind of struggling for pace late in the going, but he is holding on for now.
He used Duncan used his teammate McLennan as a pick to back the 28 back up to reach him, and it looks like it worked. He's back up into 7th place now. This would be a great result for Maverick if they can hang on to this with a 5th, 6th, and 7th right now from their 3 main cars. Louviere still struggling a bit tonight, has not found any speed after his qualifying run in 17th, but with all the attrition tonight, that's still going to be a solid result. Look at Ryan Reid, though, making a great recovery drive out of the night, now about to crack the top 15. As we enter the final 10 laps of the race, now 9 to go for Bisceglia as he catches the 29 of Alex Bignacco, his pseudo teammate, in that partnership between Ditek and Van Dalen. And Bignacco does not give him a hard time.
If nothing happens, this might be sealed. Bisceglia just looks so strong.
The man with 100% victories on short tracks in his entire WTSS career. Not only that, but over 75% of his career top 5s have come on short tracks. You can never count him out. Even at Knoxville, when Wilhoit won that race, there was not a single second in those last 20 laps where he was not scared of that 27 car in his rearview mirror. Roush finally must have moved the 63 up, gets through on Crasta, and escapes to a comfortable 4th position now. There's Bisceglia's teammate, Patrick Smith. Speaking of another car that's probably not going to give him too much of a hard time.
Well, maybe not, because he is racing 92 for position.
That is
if
for
you
position,
could believe
you
it.
are right.
If you could believe it, based on how bad our Finn guy's ride is.
You can see the 77 of Smith is getting the advantage on that outside lane with the momentum. And he clears the Finn Guy machine barely into turn 3 there. 3 laps to go for Kyle Bisceglia. These laps just tick off so fast around this track. The point of no return was hit a long time ago now. Into 3 and 4. 2 laps to go this time, as Ryan Reid is almost about to crack the top 10, but it's just too little too late. That 90 car is on rails here in the dying stages. It would have been interesting to see where he could have finished without being involved in that initial crash. White flag in the air for Kyle Bisceglia. 1 lap to go for the 27. And as he runs up to the back of his teammate Patrick Smith, he'll let him finish on the lead lap. But as they round their way through 3 and 4, it's another short track masterclass for Kyle Bisceglia. He wins at Bristol Motor Speedway to close off the short tracks in WTSS Season 7. Bobby Frazier comes home in 2nd. Alex Constantine returns to another short track podium. Scott Roush and Tristan Wilhoit salvages a 5th place, even with some damage on his car. But in the end, you just could not stop the 27 of Kyle Bisceglia. Through all the chaos, all the tribulations, there was one man who led every lap from the moment that first caution came out to the checkered flag. The rest of your top 10, Bobby Frazier 2nd, Alex Constantine, Scott Roush, and Tristan Wilhoit the top 5. Jeff McLennan, William Duncan, Mitchell Mark, Daniel Voiles, and Chanarong Wangzawat the top 10. Stavanaugh, Teskar, Vita Bassa, Reid recovers to 14th, and Crown Jr. rounds out the top 15. The rest of the running order is as follows, and the list of DNFs tonight is a whopping Bignacco, Stevens, Gibson, Innes, Shepard, Hill, Nugroho, Tamura, Nutt, Curtis, Bolden, Demax, Takada, Giroux, G-Yon, and Van Dalen, whether it be mechanical or crash damage. What a crazy night it was at Bristol Motor Speedway. But in a night that could have made major shifts in the point standings, Ryan Reid still somehow found a way to come out on top of most of his competitors. Congratulations to Kyle Bisceglia, your winner here at Bristol. We'll see you next race for the return of WTSS in the African continent in the inaugural Fakisa Freeway Speedway event.